All right, 2024, Herc, has been an incredible year, certainly in the space of North American soccer, the space that this show likes to focus on. There are plenty of options for the top stories of this calendar year. But we, here at Football Americas, have done our best to narrow it down to a top four, okay? So we're going to go over them right now. The top four stories of 2024, according to this here table. The most powerful table in all of English-speaking North American soccer content. Number one story of 2024, the Usmnt coaching swap. Greg Berhalter out after the U.S. crashed out in the group phase at a home Copa America, replaced by Mauricio Pochettino. Herc, for me, no doubt about this, the number one story of 2024 for me.
You get a marquee coach here. Whatever you may feel about Mauricio Pochettino as a winner, you cannot deny the impact he's had with his teams, with those players, how he's made a majority of those players household names, how he's impacted and bolstered their stock. I've always said, for as green, as naive, as new as this team was, these players, the likes of a Tyler Adams when he started on the national team, the likes of an Anthony Robinson, the likes of a Yunus Musa, these type of players, for as green as they were, the greenest part of this team was their head coach. That was most inexperienced part of this team. And a lot of people felt it was the one piece holding them back. It's the greatest collection of players the U.S. men's national pool has ever had. You've never had players plying their trade in the leagues and the clubs that they've had in this 4+ years. This move gives everybody an opportunity to see if is it the players or was it the coach? What can happen? Can you do something special? A coach like Mauricio Pochettino gives you at least that hope, at least the understanding that now you have somebody that maybe is capable of taking you there, and absolutely the top story for the U.S. men's national team in 2024.
Yeah, to me, why it's so important is because they land Pochettino. Like, on its own, the Berhalter firing is a big story, but I don't know if it's the number one story. It's the combination of making the decision to get rid of Berhalter and then following it up with the hiring of Pochettino, which to me is just a marked step up in class and status for the U.S. Soccer Federation and kind of beyond, or specifically beyond that, the U.S. men's national team. You've got, by far, on paper, again, the best manager that this national team has ever had. So, in theory, that guy should take you further than any other manager has. But I think really, to me, from our perspective, one of the keys of this story is that Berhalter was fired in the first place. I think that is also a sea change in American soccer and specifically how the federation operates. We've been around this a long time. There have been plenty of moments where there's been pressure or tension around the national team manager, but it didn't last and it wasn't loud enough for U.S. soccer to care, to be moved enough to do something about it. We know there were people within U.S. soccer who wanted to keep Greg Berhalter after that Copa America crash out.
Yeah.
But we know they didn't. And I think that's down to fan pressure and media pressure, right? You and I and Casey on 3 days back to back to back. We're not on this show. We were on SportsCenter talking about whether Greg Berhalter would come back or not.
Multiple languages.
And I think that that is a moment where soccer, in a lot of ways, arrived in this country. There was enough of a fan base. It was important enough that when the national team failed big time, there had to be big consequences, and not just big consequences for the manager, but then the big reaction of hiring Mauricio Pochettino. To me, that made it feel like the U.S., that's a soccer nation move.
It's the second time in my punditry history that I felt that. The first time was in 2018, or right before 2018, when we failed to make the World Cup. That's
fall of 17.
The fall of 17. That's the first time I recall the fallout with the fans, them voicing their opinion, them demanding change. And this is becoming the norm now in these hardcore footballing circles.
But you would have doubted if the U.S. was that.
You saw it with the LA Galaxy.
Yeah.
You know, fans have a voice.
Save it. It's coming up later in the show.
Oh, is it?
Yeah, it is.
But what I'm trying to tell you is this happens. And now, and I repeat, the onus is on the players. Greg Berhalter was not all to blame. These players, a lot of these players vouched for Greg Berhalter, demanded that he come back, and now he's gone. And those same players are still there. So if it doesn't happen this go around, if we don't see a change, was it Greg Berhalter with this coach who's better on paper, who should take him where you've never been before? We're about to find out.
Yeah, if they flop under Mauricio Pochettino, then everybody turns to the players and we start talking about the most overhyped generation in American history instead of the golden generation that was supposed to take the U.S. to a new level.